What's going on YouTube? A Delicious Mango here, back again with another tier list video. This one is the Season 14 Apex Legends tier list. I'm going to be talking a little bit about every single legend, not going to keep it too long. This is going to be a great video if you're listening in the car, you want to hear my thoughts on every single legend, about less than a minute or so each, including where Vantage is in the meta right now. Is she really strong? Is she really weak? Does she need something? Or is she perfect where she is? I'll be addressing all of that. If you guys want to see more of my funnier tier lists, I posted a lot of interesting ones on Twitter in a mega thread, such as who I think would be the best cook, who would be a good Twitch streamer, who I would want as my employee at Home Depot when I need to return an item. Bunch of funny tier lists. You can go follow me over on Twitter at ADeliciousMango. But without further ado, let's get into this tier list right now. Apex Legends Season 14 Ranked Legends tier list. In front of me here, I have a blank slate S, A, B, C, D, E, and F, and I've got all of the legends from Season 0 of the game's launch up to Season 14 with Vantage here, and I don't want to waste your time. I want to talk about Vantage now and how useful I think she is, and to me, I think Vantage suits a Pathfinder type role in this game. To me, she's a selfish legend. Sure, her utility with her passive is fantastic. I think it's great to know exactly where enemies are, exactly, how many shields they have or what type of shields they have. That stuff is great. The sniper is really great for dealing damage for yourself, and of course the repositioning is also good. But if you think about it, like, she's not throwing a shield for a teammate, she's not gassing up a building for herself. The really best team-oriented thing is just getting good position and dealing damage, which is kind of why she's similar to Pathfinder in that role. I think she's good. I don't think she needs any buffs, and I don't think she needs any nerfs. She has a high ceiling and a pretty low floor if you can't snipe, but I think it's great. I think she is kind of like a different Pathfinder in a way. I think she's very fun. You can have a lot of success with her, as you can probably see in some big streamers' chats. I think she's great, but B tier, there are other legends that just do more for your team. Bangalore, similar to Vantage, I'm going to have her in B tier. Right in the middle, she's a good legend. I would not be upset if I had a Bangalore on my team, but I just think others can do a little bit more. Double time is still an excellent passive. I think that the smoke grenades can do a lot for you, whether you're trying to play defensively or offensively, cutting off people's line of sight or cutting off, your own team so you can rotate through an area or revive a teammate. Bangalore is always going to be useful. She's great, always has been, always will be. Bangalore, solid B tier legend. Bloodhound. I'm moving Bloodhound to A tier. There is an argument to be made in King's Canyon ranked, at least, that Bloodhound is better than Seer simply because his ultimate isn't a giant cage and you still get a lot of really good information with his scan. But that being said, he isn't actually better than Seer. He's just really, really strong at scanning. He's great in fights. You push off the intel that he gives you with his tactical. His ultimate is a super speed boost. Bloodhound, as he is currently in the game, he's always going to be useful. You're always going to have a place for him. Good legend to have on your team. Gives you information, helps you fight. All around, great character. Now, Caustic. I'm also going to put Caustic at A tier. I think he is very useful, and right now, he's probably the second best defensive legend. We'll get to who I think is the best defensive legend right now. No one holds down a building better than Caustic, simply put. Rampart and Wattson are good. They're actually very, very useful, but if you just want one defensive legend to hold down a building, Caustic's your man. The gas grenade is still lethal. All around good legend. Not much has changed with Caustic. Crypto, I'm going to put in C tier. Yeah, he gets you a lot of information and the EMP is nice, but I just feel like it's never great to have to sit in your drone and pilot it in for an EMP. You're kind of always going to be behind your team. Sometimes you got to pilot the drone, you got to move it around. If the drone breaks, you have basically no abilities for the remainder of his cooldown till he gets another drone. Crypto, kind of C tier, not great, but again, not horrible. Still got some pretty decent uses. Fuse, I'm going to put it B tier, and it's for a couple reasons. There are some reasons why I think he's A tier, and there's some reasons why I think he's lower than that. So the good things first. A lot of damage output, really, really useful. He is great for cutting off entrances with knuckle clusters and grenades. Ulting gives you that little ring of fire, and if someone's inside of it, you get scanned. All that is really, really nice. All of that is the type of stuff I want at A tier, but the reason I have him down in B tier is because he is kind of big. He has a bigger hitbox than some of the other legends, and a lot of times it's really easy to get shot when you're playing Fuse, and he doesn't have a way to get out of trouble. So that's the reason I put him in B tier, probably in the upper part of B tier, approaching A tier. Obviously, a great Fuse player can make him outstanding, but you can get caught out in some unfortunate situations and likely be the first one down on your team if you're Fuse, just because you really don't have a means of escape. But as far as dealing damage, excellent legend. Gibraltar, the fall from grace of Gibraltar, probably used to be S tier and was S tier for many, many, many seasons, years in fact, but I'm going to put him at B tier because he got some big, big nerfs. This Maggie ultimate that now destroys his bubble is actually a massive deal. His bubble also got a few nerfs back a couple seasons ago where it doesn't last as long. You don't get fast heals anymore. You still get a good revive, but these days it just seems like Gibraltar is outclassed by even Caustic and another defensive legend that I'll be listing. Gibraltar's still great. His gun shield is still fantastic, and the mortar strike is still awesome. But I would actually put Gibraltar at B tier because I would just rather not have a Gibraltar on my team compared to some of the other defensive legends. Horizon. Horizon is A tier and likely will be for a very long time. The ability in a game like Apex Legends to instantly have the high ground on an opponent is incredibly useful. Couple that with her black hole, which is really strong. You can throw it on the outside of a building and it will still affect the people inside the building, so they won't be able to break the black hole. You couple that with some grenades, Horizon's always going to be really useful. Her gravity lift comes back pretty quickly. She's going to have a lot of utility. Honestly, I think her soft landing is one of the most fun passives in the game. I think she's a great legend, A tier for being able to get good damage output and instant high ground for your entire team at a moment's notice. Lifeline mains, I'm sorry, but someone's got to tell you. Lifeline is not good. Lifeline right now, I feel for you. I remember I used to love playing Lifeline back when she had fast heals. I remember she used to be really fun to have these cool outplays with her revive shield, but now she doesn't have fast heals. She doesn't even have a revive shield. Her ultimate is nice, but it gets you less loot than just a Loba ultimate would. Quite frankly, Lifeline, you deserve better. Lifeline is going to be my only F tier character simply because I don't think there's a single part of her kit that she does better than anyone else on the roster. I hope Lifelines get some buffs. I think she deserves it. I still think she can be pretty fun to play if you just want to like play around the health drone and, you know, get shot for health but heal it right back. That part's pretty useful. With the storm changes, maybe the health drone's a little bit more useful, but Lifeline, justice for Lifeline. She needs more. Loba. As you know, I'm a Loba main and I might be a little bit biased, but I'm going to put her at A tier as well. Quite simply, when your team has better loot, you are going to be a better team. When you're all rolling up against a team with white armors and blue armors and you have purples and golds, you're just going to be at a better advantage. You're going to have the better mags. You're going to have the better inventory. You're going to have bigger backpacks. And with the new ring changes, you might be able to find more health heals, which means you get to take some of those outside of ring fights that are so prevalent and ranked on King's Canyon right now. This coupled with her bracelet, now that it works 100% of the time, quite frankly, Loba could be A tier for the rest of her career and with no buffs or nerfs. Maybe we'll be getting some buffs with the upcoming Loba heirloom. Hang tight on that. But Loba is A tier. Always ecstatic when a Loba's on my team because I know I'm not going to be down bad for any loot whatsoever. And the Loba can generally take care of herself with the bracelet. She won't get into too much danger. Very survivable. Equips the team. That's an A tier. Mad Maggie, Angry Margaret. I actually think that Angry Margaret is pretty decent. I'm going to put her at B tier alongside these other legends. I think she's pretty good. You're seeing more and more people use her aggressively. I don't think she's a legend that you really want to use on her own. You kind of want to couple her with someone, like maybe you want to couple her with a scan legend so you can get really aggressive, or you want to couple her with like a fuse so you can use the riot drills and the knuckle clusters to really blow up an opponent's stronghold. But the Maggie ball now is much better. It goes twice as far, it destroys Gibby bubbles, and her riot drill now is much more accurate at range and it moves a lot faster. So Maggie got a good buff. I used to not think she was very good, but now she's a solid B tier. She's probably like upper 50% of the cast, if I had to say so myself. She's a good legend. If you haven't tried her out yet and you enjoy shotguns, highly recommend Maggie. She gets up in your face and it's actually a great time. Mirage, my lad, you're okay, but you can't be any higher than D tier. Mirage still just doesn't do anything really for the team other than a 1v1 legend. He is great in fights. Quite frankly, you throw down an ultimate and you get into a fight, he can give you just enough time that you need to bamboozle someone, and then you get to shoot them in the back for free. But that's really all he does. He's just good at fighting. It's useful, but Bloodhound's good at fighting too, and he gives your team scans. Maggie's good at fighting too, and she gives your team a little bit of a speed boost. There are just other legends that are also good at fighting that do more than Mirage. So unfortunately, the homeboy Mirage stays in D tier for the time being. Here we go. We have the first legend in S tier, Newcastle. S for Superman. Newcastle right now is honestly Superman. His mobile shield is so strong. It has 500 hit points on the top and bottom level. You can move it around. His ultimate, we know how strong that is. The ability to leap to people or leap up on high ground is excellent. I think Newcastle mains have gotten much better at using that ultimate offensively as well as defensively. He can set up in places just simply no one else can. and the revive. It's so good. Now coupled with the gold knockdown shield, you have a strong knockdown and you revive your teammates with a lot of health and shield. Honestly, if you have a gold knockdown, you're playing Newcastle, you can pretty much stick the res at any time and be relatively content because your teammate will come up very healthy and you'll arguably have some good health as well. Newcastle's a fantastic legend. He is one of 2 S tier legends in the game right now. He really is Superman. Newcastle does it all. If you're looking for a defensive legend to play, that's the one. Newcastle is your guy. I made a YouTube video on Newcastle before these buffs last season even went live, talking about how he might be the best legend. If you want to check it out and get my ideas and tips on how you can be a better Newcastle main, the link to that video is right above me. Feel free to click that video and of course subscribe because I've got more content coming out every single week. Some of it you might find very useful. Octane. Octane is very fun. I think he can be pretty decent, but unfortunately no higher than C tier. There are just other legends that move you around better than Octane does and in a safer manner, and it doesn't require them taking their own health. With the new ring changes, Octane can be pretty useful, and if you pair him with Revenant, obviously, pretty strong combo there. But Octane just does, you know, he's fun, but he's not great. Fun legend, not a great legend. Stick him in the middle with Crypto with C tier. Ashe. You know, I used to think Ashe was great, but I'm going to have to put Ashe at C tier as well. Just in the current ranked meta, she's not really all that. The ability to take instant height on someone is pretty useful, and the tether is nice, but there's just a lot of other legends that I would rather have on my team than an Ashe. If you're playing as Ashe, you need to be talking with your whole team at the same time, because frankly, if you're not coordinated, you're not all taking the portal together and capitalizing off really big damage, Ashe players, you might as well just be playing Vantage or be playing Pathfinder or Loba or someone else, because if your whole team isn't really coordinated in the same push, then you're just not getting the most bang for your buck from Ashe. So for that reason, she's a C tier legend. Pathfinder, putting him up at B tier with Vantage because they basically do the same thing. They scan a beacon, which is nice. They have great movement, which is great. And they can capitalize off of big damage by either creating it or by grappling in and finishing off the job when someone else creates it. Vantage and Pathfinder, talked about them both. Pretty much the same character packaged in a different way, in my opinion. Pathfinder is a lot more versatility with the movement, but obviously doesn't have a sniper rifle of his own. Fun legend, still useful. A great Pathfinder is a great asset to any team, but B tier because it just doesn't do as much as some other legends. Rampart. Rampart is a legend that honestly, I don't really know where to put her. I really don't. I'm going to put her at C tier simply because I don't think she's overpowered in any way, but sometimes Sheila can just mow you down and you wish you had never seen that Rampart. Sometimes you try to push a Rampart and they've got a bunch of walls up and you just get ripped for 150 damage and 8 bullets because some guy's got a flat line through an amped wall and it's great. But sometimes you see a Rampart and you can just jump right through the window and then there's really, no benefit to her walls. Her walls are pretty useful, but if you're not getting the most use out of them, I don't really think LMGs are in that overpowered of a spot right now, so her passive really isn't doing all that much for her. Sheila, like I said, is great, but there is a bit of a wind-up time. It's not always the best thing. She's a fun legend. She's a decent legend, but C tier along with some of these others. Revenant. I am putting Revenant down in D tier purely because of how dependent he is on other legends. Revenant himself is okay. The silence to take away opponents' abilities is really nice. The crawl and the climb, I guess, is kind of useful in marginal situations. The totem is really where he was supposed to shine, but because of this big radius that emits from the death totem when you put it down, everyone just knows you're coming. And you really can't close the gap before getting killed unless you have an Octane or an Ashe or some legend to get you to your enemies quicker. I'm putting him down here in D because he is dependent on other legends. So D for dependent, D for down bad. Revenant, unfortunately, I'd like to see a rework of Revenant, but I don't know if we'll ever get one. Our final S tier legend is Seer. That boy Seer, still very, very strong. The ability to cancel revives, the ability to cancel heals, the ability to see wall hacks at all times with his passive, and the big cage ball that comes out from his ultimate that gives you 24/7 wall hacks as long as they aren't crouched, standing still, or breaking your ultimate. It's just so strong. Seer's in a great place right now. Like I said earlier, the only reason you might want to pick Bloodhound over Seer is because you don't want that big cage showing everyone, hey, we're fighting in here. But in all honesty, Seer's probably still the way to go. An excellent legend, a good choice. Seer, one of 2 S tier legends in the game right now. Up next, we have Valkyrie, and even though Valkyrie was nerfed a bit, I still think she's an A tier legend. This is about where Valkyrie needs to be. The ultimate doesn't go crazy high, It doesn't go unbelievably far like it used to, but quite simply, no one moves like Valkyrie does when it comes to team movement. She can still get you out of some issues. You can Valcult over your problems. Her missiles are still nice. They still deal some good damage. The jetpack didn't get changed too much. Now you have a meter that goes yellow instead of just green and then red, so you kind of have a little bit more of an idea of when your fuel is running out, which does run out a little bit faster now, but it's really not too big of a deal. Valkyrie's still a good legend. If you were thinking that Valkyrie was going to be dead, kind of like I was, not the case. Still a great legend to have, still very useful. We still see her run a lot in ALGS tournaments, but right now she's A tier, no longer an S tier legend, which I think is good for her, good for the game. Less people will hate on her. Overall, a welcome change. I am placing Wattson in B tier, quite simply because I don't think she's quite as good as Caustic as holding down a building, but I do think she's better than Rampart, so she sits right in between them. She's great when paired with a Newcastle. Having that wall and then having your Wattson pylon behind it is incredibly useful. I think it's worth a try if you haven't tried it in ranked yet. It's an excellent defensive comp. A lot of times in the Apex Legends Global Series, in some of those tournaments, you'll see teams running Newcastle and Wattson together to create the ultimate defense. Really, really useful in that regard, but I probably would still rather have a Caustic on my team for his offensive output, whereas Wattson does not have any offensive output. Her fences can still be a little wonky. If you shoot down her pylon, it does take a long time to recharge if you don't have an ultimate accelerant, which she can carry 2 of, but that requires you to have good loot. Overall, I think Wattson in a good spot. Very useful when you decide to use her, but not overpowered by any means. A good legend, B tier. Finally, the last legend we have to rank is Wraith. She's going down in C tier with Ashe, her portal pal. Wraith, how the mighty have fallen. Used to be the best legend in the game for quite a while. Now, she just doesn't simply do enough, in my opinion. Her portal doesn't go that far, and her phase takes a few seconds to actually get out. She's a great legend for pubs. She's really fun. I just think that, frankly, I would rather have Bangalore on my team, or I would rather have Vantage on my team, or any of the legends listed above her. I'd rather have one of them on my squad than the Wraith. If they lengthened her portal, maybe she'd be more useful again, or if she had her old phase where she would instantly phase instead of this little cooldown time where she has to like hold her Naruto hand up and then phase, maybe she'd be a little bit more useful. But I'm gonna put her at C tier simply because I just wish I'd had other legends on my team than a Wraith. So this is it. This is the list. You guys let me know what you think. I personally think I nailed it, but I want to hear what you guys think down in the comments. Of course, let me know. I'll be responding to a lot of them as you guys comment. I'll be sure to reply, let you know my thoughts, give some extra reasons. And if you made it to the end, please do consider liking the video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content. I'm live on Twitch every single day if you want to watch me over there. And that's pretty much it for this video. All right, see ya.